Okay, so I went to see Kraven the Hunter. Sorry it's been so long getting to this because I saw it, a few days ago. I just had to have a few days to process it and collect my thoughts on it because it was pretty much as bad as everybody else is saying it is, for whatever reasons they're saying. And I mean, I didn't dig it because they portrayed him out to be like this hunter of criminals that were either hard to find or hard to get to, or however it was a challenge for him to hunt this criminal individual down, and as if they were his prey, and of course he'd kill him once he caught up with him. Kind of reminded me a little bit of the Punisher. Rather than being at war with organized crime like Frank Castle is, he hunts it down, and it's because his dad's a criminal and he doesn't approve of what his dad does. His dad, Russell Crowe, who spoke in this pseudo-Russian dialect. Oh, but the two boys didn't. And there were times when his pseudo-Russian was a little bit reminiscent of his pseudo-Greek from when he played Zeus in Love and Thunder, which I loved him as Zeus. I did. Fucking loved him. And he wasn't bad in this. I mean, he's Russell Crowe. He's never bad at anything he does. He was decent, but I don't remember any of this from Kraven's history of like his dad was a criminal and he had a younger brother that he was looking out for. That I don't remember any of that. I don't think any of that is taken from the comics. Please correct me if I'm wrong, because there may be some recent stories or iterations that have come along that I'm not privy to. But I really don't think any of that is taken from the comics. Kraven was a big game hunter who had hunted pretty much every type of animal, big cats, big elephants, whatever else, boar, whatever. Everything you could think of, to the point where he didn't feel like he was challenged enough by the animal kingdom, which is why he set his sights on Spider-Man to go hunt down Spider-Man and take him down, because it was the challenge of it. And not that he was this bad guy or hunter of criminal. I mean, it was almost like Ronin from Hawkeye, when he was Ronin and hunting down all the bad guys who survived the blip just because they survived, when other people who should have survived didn't, kind of thing. But it wasn't like that. It was more like the Punisher. If you're guilty, you're dead. And the thing is, it really wasn't a bad movie, like, out of the context of being in the Marvel Universe and being Kraven. It could have been any standard run-of-the-mill action film. And I mean, it wasn't poorly executed, not like Madam Web, but because it was so far removed from the original Kraven stories and what you would have expected from a film about him, I'm going to say it was in the same category as Madam Web. It was just not. And I wanted to like it, but it's another one of those that I just left the theater so disappointed that it was just not what Kraven the Hunter really, even if his whole backstory and everything that led up to him prior to taking on Spider-Man, because obviously Spider-Man's not in the movie, and it's not, but it could have even left it open-ended that would have been his next step. But no, it wasn't like that at all. And it just, even sitting through the previews, and there were at least like 6 or 8 upcoming films that were in the, I don't even remember half of them. All I remember is that it was nothing I really cared to see. So it's not just our superhero genre or our Star Wars or our geek culture nerd world. It's across the industry, man. There's nothing coming along that is appealing that you want to go see, and most of it looks like anything you see on streaming, and it's like, what is it going to take to get people to come out to the movie theater? I mean, there was maybe half a dozen people in the theater when I saw this Kraven movie, and it was the only showing. There was a little bit of miscommunication, or if nothing else, I've heard some things, reports, that movie theaters have been pulling a lot of their show times for Kraven due to lack of attendance. So I think it might have been something like that, because when we looked into, seeing the film, there were show times all afternoon last Sunday, and come to find that no, it's not playing at noon. It was only playing at 4, and the people that were going to join me to see the film weren't able to see it at 4, so I waited till 4 and went and saw it myself, and it's just too bad. I mean, I guess it's pretty much the final nail in the Sony Spider-Verse kind of coffin, because so much of their stuff that they've been doing has been so unsuccessful, and I just don't know what the status is of their licensing and whether or not Marvel's going to reacquire it anytime soon, or if they're even going to do anything with it, because I don't know. I keep hearing different things. Andrew Garfield might be coming back for a new Spidey film, but I don't know if that's going to happen or not. And I had the impression back when Sam Raimi was in negotiation to direct the Multiverse of Madness, and it was right around the time that Sony was threatening to pull Tom Holland out of the MCU because they wanted to do something with Spider-Man's character or whatever. I don't know the details, but I just remember the reports that, there was an issue that Sony was talking about pulling out of their deal with Marvel to let Tom Holland be the MCU Spidey, and they came to an agreement about that, obviously. And what they came up with was the crossover thing. Spidey, what was it, No Way Home? With the other two Sony iterations of Spider-Man, the whole, multiverse crossover with Doctor Strange, which was very successful and a pretty decent flick. I mean, it was decent. It was entertaining, at least. And then Sam Raimi shows up to direct the Multiverse of Madness, and I got the impression that maybe they were in negotiations for Sam to come back and do a Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire, which doesn't look like it's going to happen. I've seen nothing about it to indicate that that was really going to be the real thing. But it was just the impression I got from the situation at the time. And so, no, outside of the animated things, Into the Spider-Verse and, those with Miles Morales, what is Sony really doing with all those properties? Not jack shit. I mean, the Rhino bore absolutely no resemblance to the original Rhino from the comics. It just... they just, take the properties out of context, use their names, and just write whatever they want to write and tell whatever kind of a movie they want to tell, and throw all the original source material out the window. It's like seeing something from the mid-'90s, or even back in the '80s when that was the thing with the comic book films. They didn't trust or have faith in the original stories, so they had to rewrite them and retool them to suit, a movie-going audience or whatever. And it's been proven that if you keep it faithful and consistent with the original stories and the original, I mean, look at Marvel Phase 1, man. Iron Man was one of the best comic book movies ever made. And and it followed up with Thor and Captain America, and they were great. And even the Avengers was able to reassemble the original lineup of the Avengers from Avengers number 1. And I mean, why can't we have more of that? That's what, and I mean, people flock to it. They keep it faithful and consistent. People flock to it. You start fucking with it, and people don't give a shit. And it doesn't even matter if you know the backstories or not. You just know it ain't no good. So pull your heads out, man, and get back to telling us the stories that we all know and love, and bringing those to life in a way that just everybody can appreciate. And I guess that's about all I have to say about that. Thanks for listening. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon.